Hey, this is Bruce Boudreau, and you're listening to Empty Betters with Nick, Mack, and Harrison.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to episode 178 of Empty Betters. I'm your host, Harrison Scholes. I'm going to toss it across the screen to my co-host, Nick Manella. What's going on, my friend?
Dude, what's going on? Happy 4th, boys. Had some fun over the weekend. I'm sure you guys did as well. So a little bit tired for this one. That's an understatement.
Yeah, I think running on fumes is a appropriate saying at this point. I'll touch on my weekend in a little bit, but before I do, I want to toss it across the screen to my other co-host up in Wisconsin, Mac Vogel. What's going on, my friend?
Not much, fellas. I had a good weekend as well. Had a lot of fun, had too much fun probably, but here we are. We're ready to recap some free agency. I feel like this was a really crazy one given how there wasn't that many like huge names available going into all of it, but a lot of musical chairs, which we'll get into shortly here.
Absolutely. And then last but not least, I can actually say that this week, Mr. Jackson Gross. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Had a pretty quiet 4th of July, just kind of stayed in and just hung out with the family for a while, watched some Harry Potter. So it was kind of nice doing that.
There you go.
Just tired today because I've basically been rearranging my room. For those who pay attention to my background, that's now my door, and now I have this nice poster right here. So
I was gonna say that looks a little different.
Yeah, got the full studio setup going now.
Yep, I have to look professional like the rest of you guys. So
Mac, what did you get into this weekend? I feel like I saw like a couple Snap stories or something, and it looked like a hell of a time.
So me and one of my roommates, Alex, we kind of went on like a beach bender for like a few days in a row. We live really close to the beach at Lake Michigan, like I don't know, 10 to 15-minute walk, depending on how much shit we're lugging with us. But we also bought one of those like Costco wagons so we can load up the cooler, the speaker, the towels, everything, and just wheel it down to the beach, which is nice. But yeah, we were at the beach for at least 2 hours, 4 days in a row. Then also ended up going to the Brewers Cubs game yesterday. Saw some fireworks. I really packed a lot in. It was a fun weekend. Saw a ton of different friends, and just kind of unwinded. It was awesome.
Yeah, it looked like a solid weekend. It took me 2.5 hours to get to Arlington, Virginia on Friday night because of rush hour and rainstorm.
Yep.
That blows.
To say that I was shaking.
That drive sucks, man.
It's
so bad.
Yeah, it's not a fun one. Also got reminded that DC is so different than Baltimore in so many ways. It's very strange. We went to this like speakeasy deli place. I don't know what the name of it was. I'll ask someone I was with, and they'll be able to educate me. You walk in, and it's like this like sub shop. I was thinking about you guys because I was like, I gotta say this on the show. It's like a Jersey Mike's when you walk in. It's like menu, like you have all your toppings in front of you under the glass, and then to the left, there's like this like door that looks like it goes to like a big fridge, and it's this giant bouncer, and he's just like kind of like nods your head, and if you're not eating, you go there. They open up, and it's like this like nightclub. I was like, what the hell? And it was all behind like this whole sub shop. I was thinking of you guys because I was thinking I don't even know if we would have made it behind. I think we would have just ended up getting the Sammys. But yeah, it was a fun weekend. Happy 4th of July to everyone doing this the day after. But we'll cut the pitter patter and get right at her here. We are gonna toss it off to Mac for the QOTD.
Yeah, so this one's not too weird actually. For once, this is a little bit thematic. I was thinking about this over the weekend on one of my days on the beach. What do you guys think is the best, or your favorite, or however you want to think of it? What's the best like silly little outdoor game? Like, you've got like bags or cornhole, whatever you want to call it. You've got can jam, you've got like I'm even gonna include like beer dye. Like it doesn't have to
Spike
be a
ball,
drinking
something like
game.
that.
Yeah, spike balls in there for sure. What's like the best little like beach or like park game like that? And then after your answers, I'm gonna tell very brief story that I thought was really cool. Something I saw this weekend that's related.
It's hard for me to pick against cornhole. Spike ball, I have to definitely be in the like move around mood for. Cornhole is just something to do while you're drinking.
Yeah, spike ball's tough if it's like a really hot day on the beach because
Yeah.
you just don't want to be like moving around constantly.
I'm a big like if the wind is not like being an asshole that day, if I can get just a good back and forth with like a buddy and a football, I'm happy.
Yep, or frisbee, but that one
Yep.
especially you need the wind to cooperate.
Yeah.
Taking a mitt down with a baseball is always a top tier choice.
That's what all 4 of the days that I went, I have a real nice catcher's mitt. I was a catcher when I played ball back in my heyday, and it's just something so satisfying about hearing that the ball just pop in that catcher's mitt.
That's the best.
Playing a lot of catch on the beach this weekend.
I'm actually gonna go off of that, and I'm gonna say wiffle ball.
Ooh.
Just because for a few years when I was younger, we'd go to a family reunion in this place in West Chicago, and they'd have like a wiffle ball field that kind of looked like Wrigley Field a little bit. So that was always a lot of fun to do. And I think it's just a nice casual way to still play baseball without like having to actually be good at it.
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't have to have all the equipment. Like, you don't even need a glove. You can just stick a person out there and have them catch a ball or whatever. We've been getting back into wiffle ball a lot this summer.
And when you like bean your cousin with it, it's not gonna like, kill him.
Yes,
exactly.
Yeah.
I would definitely say catch with a mitt is like not football, but with a baseball. Probably my favorite. You want to know the silliest? I got one for you.
Okay.
This is at some bars. It's at some beach houses. I don't want to say it's fun. It's just silly to me. I don't know the name of it either. It's that one where you
the ring game.
The ring game, and you drop the ring, and it has to like wrap around the hook. And it takes like 17,000 tries. It drives me nuts.
So senior year, I lived in a house, a very old house on Marquette's campus. And one day I was super bored and I engineered my own that game out of like household items. Like I took like a shower, like the kind of hook you hang on the back of like a door to like put your towel on it.
Yeah.
I screwed one of those into the wall, like upside down. And then like took like a long piece of yarn that we had and like tied it around like a bent nail that I hangered into the ceiling. It was this whole elaborate thing, but it was actually a very fun like game to just have in the house to like kill time while we're waiting to go to the bar or something like that. But
I have that on the pool deck here. My dad's insanely good at it. It's like first or second try every single time.
Dads are always good at that.
Once you figure out the angle,
Yes.
you can almost every time get it. It's super fun though.
What's your little story over the weekend that you were saying?
So maybe I've told this to a few people. I'm like, I've gotten 50-50, like, whoa, that's crazy. And then the other people like, oh, you've never seen that before. So I don't know which one you guys will fall on, but I was at the beach and I see this guy digging a hole, right? Like with a shovel, like a little mini, like proper shovel, not like a plastic one, but like one of those fold up nice metal shovels. And he's just going after it. And I said to my buddy, I was like, is there any simpler pleasure to a man than just digging a giant hole on the beach? Because like I no joke have done that before and I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah. It's
and
better than sitting there.
Right. I thought that's what he was doing. And I don't know, we're just playing catch with a mitt and 20-30 minutes go by and I look back over and he's kind of like across the beach, this guy who was digging. And I realized there was a purpose to what he was doing. And I saw what the goal was. And I was very impressed. I was like, that's one of the more innovative, like 20-something-year-old ideas I've seen in a while. But basically, he dug 2 giant holes. And all the sand that he's pulling out of the hole, he was pushing up into a big mound in front of the hole. And the holes were like facing each other. So now you've got 2 mounds that are facing each other. And behind each one is like a hole that you can like hide behind. And they drove beer pong cups into the mound, like onto each mound and just played beer pong. But like, you don't have to worry about the cups like falling off because they're driven into the sand and you don't even have to fill them with that much water, if any, because again, they're just in and obviously you just drink like one beer that you're holding. So you don't get sand in your drink or whatever. But I don't know. I saw that and I was like, okay, that's genius. I didn't expect that when he was digging the hole, but
It is so much
was
better than
impressed.
lugging like a full ass folding table to the beach
Exactly.
because you're a psycho if you
Yeah.
do that.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. I'm all about the innovation and like the convenience.
Yeah.
If you get a group of guys, you can have, like you said, there's 2 holes, 2 diggers.
Yeah.
That's not a bad
No, and
day.
they had a whole group there. There was probably 6 or 8 of them like switching off, playing, taking turns.
I'll give you a whoa, that's crazy. I'm down with that one.
Fair enough. Cool.
Yeah.
Just a reminder that QOTD was presented by Brackish Life. If you're like us and grew up on the water and outdoors, then Brackish Life is perfect for you. They have a wide selection of gear from UV shirts to hoodies and hats. It is Real Bay apparel made by Real Bay people. Head to www.brackish.life today to check them out. A little salty, a little fresh. Brackish Life. I bet you those guys were most definitely wearing UV protected shirts to keep them safe from the sun, right, Mac?
Definitely.
No doubt.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the free agency recap here. We're going to do this by division to try and keep this somewhat organized. So we're going to start in the Pacific. And keep in mind, this is all stuff that has happened since our last recording, which I believe was like literally on draft night. So bear that in mind. And might not mention some of the very small AHL minor league 2-way contract deals. So don't get your panties in a bunch over that. All right, start with Anaheim. Elite NHL sniper Radko Gudas gets signed to Orange County, 3 years, $4 million per. They get Alex Killorn, who finally leaves the Tampa Bay Lightning at 4 years, $6.25 million per. Your guys' thoughts on these 2 moves for the Ducks?
I like both of them. And one quick thing I want to say about Gudas, honestly, hats off to the guy, because when he left Washington, I really felt like this was going to be one of those guys that just kind of peters out and isn't in the NHL in a year or two. But he's really like proved that he has a worth, that he has a value, that he has a role to play on some team, and that somebody needs him and will pay him decent money to do what he does best, which is just, obviously he's not the fastest skater or the best goal scorer, but he makes a difference out there, and he's annoying as shit to play against. So that's a solid deal. If anything, I was like, damn, they kind of paid him a lot. Wasn't totally expecting that, but I think the Killorn deal is also solid, and they added Robert Hagg too. Not bad.
I was surprised, that Killorn gets 6.25 per year for 4 years. I thought that was a little bit high. Maybe that's just the way we're going with Tampa needing to dump cap now, but who knows? But I echo everything you said about Gudas. I thought when he left the Caps, we were probably looking at maybe 1-2 more seasons in the NHL, and then maybe he would go back to, playing in Europe or something. But hats off to the guy. Well deserved.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was that for Anaheim is they needed some veteran leadership. I mean,
100%.
They've lost so much over the past few years with Getzlaf, Perry, and so many other guys leaving. So I think Gudas and Killorn especially will be great mentors for some of these younger defensemen and forwards like Trevor Zegras and Leo Carlson now. So, and in terms of Killorn's contract, I kind of agree with Nick, but it's also the fact that I think Anaheim probably had to overpay a little bit considering where they finished in the standings last year. I mean, he's going from a playoff team to a team that had a top 3 pick this year. So totally understandable from where Anaheim's coming from.
That, and you have to make up for all the money he's going to lose in state tax in California because they're going to take like half his paycheck.
Yeah, didn't think about that one. Moving on, and I agree with everything that you guys said, especially Jay, regarding the veteran leadership. The Edmonton Oilers, they get Capital legend Connor Brown. Thoughts?
But like 8 games.
Not even.
Yeah.
Dude, this one frustrates me so much.
I wanted to hear Mac on this
I
one.
just wanted to get him back for 1 year. Like, I wanted to sign him to this exact deal, and I don't really understand why we couldn't.
I would have gone up to 1.1.
Yeah, easily, but I just don't really get why. I don't know if we just didn't try or if he just didn't want to stay in DC or what, but it sucks to me that this was a guy I was really excited last year to give a 1-year deal to and be like, let's see what this guy does. I really had a good feeling about him being nothing crazy, but being a guy that mattered on that team. And it just sucks that we never get to really see how that would have worked out. And I got a bad feeling he's going to have a really solid year in Edmonton too.
I think last year was just really unlucky for him with the way everything went. I think had he stayed healthy, I think he would have been a staple on the Washington Capitals second line.
Yeah, and he could have been getting paid more than this and more term right now too. But everyone's like, well, we don't really know what your deal is because we haven't seen you play post injury. But yeah, who knows? Maybe he would have had 20 goals with the Caps last year, and he'd be signing like a 3x3 with somebody right now. I don't know.
Exactly.
Put him somehow on McJesus's line, and he'll probably end up with a contract that's like $5 million next year or something crazy. But moving on to LA, they get 2 goaltenders, Cam Talbot and Big Save David Rittich. I mean, they're just filling in some depth there. I believe Corpusalo was on his way. He left. I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
Yeah, he left.
List, so.
I kind of vibe with this, honestly.
I love this.
I think these are 2 like fuck it goalies who they're like, we do not want to spend a bunch of money on this. They're rolling the dice that one of these dudes is going to be able to figure it out enough to win, I don't know, 25, 30 plus games. That's probably the bare minimum that they're looking for out of somebody, unless they end up really splitting time or something, which could happen. I mean, maybe they each win like 20.
Yeah, I think, Talbot, I think you go in there, you probably assume he gets the starting, job, but
given how he's played recently, yes.
This is a huge BSD or LSD, depending on if it's a formal or informal occasion podcast. So, I mean, I will die on the hill that I am a David Rittich truther. I mean, the guy does everything you need him to do.
I just want everyone listening to fully soak in what Nick and Mac are saying about Cam Talbot and David Rittich, and remember that when we get to Tristan Jarry in Pittsburgh. I just want to say that. So we'll get there later.
To be the voice of reason here for a second, I feel like this is just 2 big heaping piles of mid that they hope is like it's like they traded Jonathan Quick, who was like their cow, for like 2 magic beans that are either gonna grow a beanstalk to get like a golden Stanley Cup, or they're gonna crap out and like spawn a disease. So
yeah,
that's pretty good. It is always funny to me, right? When like teams like just pick 2 like journeymen and they're like, I don't know, you'll figure this out, right? I mean, we saw the Leafs basically do it last year. I know Samsonov not really a journeyman at that age, but still just 2 guys that they just grabbed from somewhere else, and they were like, I don't know, one of you guys figure it out. And sometimes one of them does, sometimes both of them do, and with the Leafs, sometimes none of them do.
Oh man. The San Jose Sharks, they get the Duke, Anthony Duclair from Florida for Steven Lorentz and a 5th. I love that move.
This is so cool. Jersey will be ordered very, very soon.
Oh yeah.
So you'll have 3 Sharks jerseys at that point?
Yeah, after not having one like 2 months ago.
I would say that's a very low risk, high reward move. I think that works out well for the Sharks.
Also the 7th NHL team now for the Duke.
Really?
Holy hell.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wait a minute. What?
Yep.
I'm trying to think if I can name them all.
Arizona,
Florida,
New York,
obviously.
Florida, Chicago, Ottawa.
I knew Ottawa.
Wait, he was on the Rangers. I forgot about that. Damn.
Did you say the Panthers? Oh,
yeah.
You're missing one.
I'm missing one, and then San Jose.
It's Metro.
The Jackets.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot about that too.
Nick, good
I was
job.
about to say that. Yep.
He was with Ottawa in 2018-19. He got traded to Ottawa from Columbus that year, and then spent the next year with Ottawa.
I knew the Senators won. But yeah, the Duke over to San Jose. The Seattle Kraken, they get Brian Dumoulin, thank God, for 2 years at $3.15 million per.
Hey, come on now. That guy served as a really solid D-man for your team for a while. You're going to throw him under the rug that easily?
I will give Brian Dumoulin my salute to service. Thank you for everything. It was a pleasure, but my God, the last couple of years were really painful to watch. I wish him all the best. Seems like a great guy. I will forever remember him in the parade with 4 Bud Lights going straight to the dome with his jersey like over his head from the back. It's an all-time pick.
All right, that's better.
Yeah.
That's a better send off.
Yeah.
But I respect the shit out of him, but it's been a rough couple of years here, Brian. Let's be honest with each other. And then Yamamoto also goes over to Seattle. So a couple minor moves there. Nothing really crazy. Couple depth moves.
I like the Yamamoto move for them.
Yeah.
$1.5 million for a year. I was a little bit surprised that he got traded, and then what was it, Detroit that bought him out? Like instantly following that trade from Seattle or from Edmonton.
I think you're right on that. We'll say you're right on that.
Cool. Roll with it.
Sure. Doesn't really matter one way or another. He ends up in Seattle. Vancouver. Looks like Jim Rutherford is trying to bring back the 2017 Penguins for some reason for like the fifth time. Ian Cole, 1 year, $3 million per. Teddy Bluger, 1 year, $1.9 million per. And then Susi, they end up extending him. What did that say? 3 years at $3.25 million per. So
And
couple
don't
depth
forget
moves.
Capitals legend Matty Irwin.
Yeah, who could forget? I don't think if I'm a Canucks, if I'm a Canucks fan, like, what is this?
What are you doing? You're
this?
right.
This is just a big grab bag of
Yeah.
like the most random NHL players from the last couple of years.
Like, actually,
The Vancouver Canucks, like, they upset the Blues in the first round of the playoffs following the Blues winning the Stanley Cup, correct?
I thought they
I can't
lost
remember.
that series.
Or did they lose that series?
It was
know.
close.
Either way, they were in the playoffs against the Blues. Demko was playing great, and it has just been a steady slide back into mediocrity for them.
Mickey Mouse bubble series.
Yeah,
Yep.
big time.
That is true. I was gonna say that sounds like a bubble series.
The sad part is this isn't even Jim Rutherford. This is their new guy, Patrick Elvin, who they named as GM in January of last year.
Is Rutherford not like hockey? I thought he was like I thought he was like hockey after some, but you might be right. Regardless, it's like it's just a straight, like Max said, it's like the four most random names you could pick.
Why do I feel like, you know how, like, pun intended, Calgary's having like a complete fire sale, like everyone wants out of there? I feel like Vancouver is just 3 steps behind them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I apologize. I don't know why I said re-up Carson Soucy. I read Seattle before that, and my brain went. So they signed him. Going to move on to the Central Division. I'm going to start off with the Arizona State Coyotes. Jason Zucker, another salute to service. Thanks, dude. Appreciate you, but you're always hurt. Just like the next guy, Nick Bukestad. No salute to service. You're always actually hurt. And then another salute to service, Alex Galchenyuk. Also always hurt. 3 ex-Penguins, all on the Yotes, all
3 Band-Aids.
I think Galchenyuk was playing with the Colorado Eagles last year, who are
I don't
the
think he's
Avs
really like
farm team.
I was wondering if that one was even just like a contract thing, that like he's not even going to see NHL time. But if it's the Yotes, he might. Who knows?
Yeah.
I'm just glad they're starting to take a step up from paying guys who are never going to play to guys who may play like 45 to 50 games if they're lucky at this point. So good job, Arizona. You're moving up in the world and hopefully out of Arizona soon.
There you go.
Ouch. Oof.
Yeah. Sorry to the 3 Coyotes fans listening. So.
Oh, ouch. Oof. God, Jake. Oh, my God. What'd they do to you?
20th, the year after the Stanley Cup. I will never forgive them. It was a year or 2 years after the first one.
Oh, true. Well, the fact that you can say the first one is more than most can say. So, all right. I don't think there's much to say there. Chicago, they get Ryan Donato, and they also got Corey Perry in a trade from the Tampa Bay Lightning. Jay, what are your thoughts?
Good depth, guys. Corey Perry's going to be the absolute muscle that Connor Bedard needs. Also would like to say salute to service to Mr. Josh Bailey for his 35 minutes in Chicago. I don't know if he's signed anywhere else, but thank you for getting us a second round pick. The $5 million is all yours, buddy. Thank you. You've meant so much to this organization, and I hate to see you go.
That's a good way to look at it.
That was a good way to look at it. Yeah, I like that optimism. Yeah, a couple moves for Chicago. I like that Perry signing a lot.
Yeah,
I'd like the Donato one too. I think he's gonna have like a little bit more of an opportunity to find some like top 6 minutes here.
He had some hot moments last year. He's definitely, the potential's there.
For sure. Colorado, Many who are crowning the preseason favorites to win the Stanley Cup. We'll see about that. Miles Wood, he gets a 6-year contract at 2.5 mil per. They extend Bowen Byram 2 years, 3.85 mil per. We got a Mooseheads reunion. We got Jonathan Drouin and Nate McKinnon back together. They signed Drouin to a 1-year deal. They had Andrew Cogliano to a 1-year deal and Jack Johnson to a 1-year deal. What are your guys' thoughts on Colorado's moves?
I like the bridge deal for Byram. I know he's been dealing with some injury stuff in the past, so I get that's why the term isn't a little bit longer for someone with that much promise around them. The Drouin one is going to be interesting. It's very low risk, high reward, but I also sort of get the impression that this might be like, hey, this kind of is your last kick at the can this time.
Aside from maybe Miles Wood, and obviously the Byron thing is, like you said, bridge deal, but the other three, Drouin, Cogliano, Johnson, I mean, I don't really see any of that mattering that much. Like, I feel like all three of them are going to be either hurt or just not factor into like what's happening that much. Personally, I think they're all just kind of like,
do you see Jack Johnson being the 7th defenseman when they hit the playoffs?
Probably. And then like Cogliano, I feel like is also just kind of like a scratch a lot of the time kind of guy.
Yeah.
And like, we'll see what Drouin can do. That's always like okay, sure, buddy, you're good.
And I hope it goes well, because I know he's been going through shit for like the last 2 years, but like
definitely. But I just all of this is like just yawn, whatever.
I like the Miles Wood signing. I think he's a hell of a player to have on your team.
No, that one is good. 6 years a lot though.
Yes,
it is a lot. It's a strange deal.
Highly encourage anyone who hasn't seen Jonathan Drouin's junior highlights to go on YouTube and just enjoy that.
Oh yeah,
unreal.
It's crazy.
To catch some Nate Mack action in there too. All right, Dallas. They get Matt Duchene, 1 year, $3 million. Craig Smith, 1 year, $1 million, and Sam Steele on a 1-year deal. I think the big one here, obviously, Matt Duchene going over to Dallas, a team that already had a lot of depth up front, just got deeper. I don't know, boys. I mean, I'm not saying this puts them over the hump, but for a team who just made the 3rd round, they don't seem any weaker.
I totally agree. I love this. I love the Duchene 1 year, $3 million. I think that's perfect.
I love it. Yep.
Craig Smith, another Capitals legend. So that guy is just, 3rd line depth come the postseason.
He's also the kind of guy that I feel like if he's scratched, which he may be a lot, when he does get to slot in for that injured guy or the guy who needs to sit a game, he'll make it count. Like he'll score a goal or he'll just skate his butt off for 20 minutes or whatever he ends up getting. But that's not a bad ad, not a bad guy to have. I'm happy for him that he didn't hang him up. I know he was thinking about it.
Yeah.
And I just like, this is how you retool a roster like this when you're working on the margins with so many guys yet that you're paying both that are worth it and that are not worth it. Jamie Benn. But yeah, just really like this. And the only thing that Dallas has to worry about is any potential regression from some of those older guys. Like, could Joe Pavelski regress? Could Jamie Benn regress even further? Tyler Seguin? That's kind of the biggest thing that they're going to have to worry about moving forward.
Couldn't agree more. Let's move on to Mini. They get Pat Maroon in a trade with the Lightning. I don't really have much to say. I don't really think that's going to do much.
Hold on.
People were kind of freaking out about this one, weren't they?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I saw something that said when Pat Maroon, when they signed him, they like skyrocketed to like best odds to win the cup or something like that. Because Pat Maroon is always on the cup team or some shit like that.
Oh, what he's been in the finals, like what was it, like 3 out of the last 5 years or something like that?
Yeah, it was most likely a joke, I'm guessing, but either way, people were making a big deal out of it.
I mean, if they can put a legitimate attempt at the rest of the offseason and put a roster together to get into the playoffs, I think it would help them hugely there. But I don't think this is a like earth-shattering move that's going to turn the Minnesota Wild around.
Yeah, I don't think it's a big deal at all, but a lot of people do.
This is just pure meme factory content. This is pure and simple. That's the only reason anyone actually kind of cared.
I think they lose Ryan Reeves, right? We'll talk about where he goes, our favorite place in the world. And then they get Pat Maroon to backfill. I mean, whatever. I don't Truthfully, Minnesota is gonna have another year in purgatory. Like, I hate to say it, but
Yep.
we're all thinking it.
Until they blow it up, they're going to continue to be the same thing every year.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to Nashville. They got Ryan O'Reilly. I want to talk about that a little more in a second. At 4 years, 4.5 mil per. Luke Shen, 3-year deal. Goose Nyquist, 2-year deal. Cody Glass and Alex Carrier. The big name here, obviously, is ROR, who was said in an interview that he wanted to be on a contending winning team, which he kind of was in Toronto. And then I can't imagine they didn't offer him some type of money resembling this, and he leaves. Tell me what's going on there. Like, that's not normal. Like,
first thing I have to say, Mr. Barry Trotz, good job as your first act as GM. I mean, this is 5 names that I'm like, yeah, those are all solid deals. I think all of them have the potential to make a difference on that team. I think they easily got better quickly. Like, good job. The Ryan O'Reilly thing, I agree with you. It's a little fishy. I saw a lot of people being like, this confirms that, like, Toronto, there's a locker room cancer or something like that. Like, just nobody wants to stay there because, like you said, I mean, theoretically, they should be a winning team. And if that's what he wants, then it's like, okay, where are you going? My theory is I just think, I don't know, there's a locker room cancer. I think there's just a lot of guys who just do not want to have that pressure being in Toronto. Right? Like,
you have to say the media pressure is now a problem.
Oh, it's so brutal. And it's like, if I would much rather play in Nashville where all the fans just are like super pumped about hockey. And a lot of them have like just gotten into it versus like Toronto, where it's like a historic, storied hockey city. And there's so much pressure. And like the media is like up your ass 24/7. I don't know. That's my guess.
I totally agree. I think it's just, you have to say that, like, for a guy to go from arguably like the mecca of hockey to Nashville, Tennessee, I think that just says it all.
It's not a bad trade-off. I agree. Maybe it's not the locker room thing, but you know how Leafs Twitter is. It makes its rounds. It's like, there's something wrong with this team. He doesn't like Keith, and we kept Keith, and we shouldn't have kept Keith. It's like, here we go. Like, you know. But yeah, good job. I agree, Matt. Good job to Barry Trotz in Nashville. I think that they're going to be a team to be reckoned with in a couple years, just knowing the way that he can manage teams and work a roster. Let's move on to Winnipeg. Nothing honestly really here. Vlad Nemestikov, 2-year deal at $2 million. Good job. Laurent Brossoit comes back to town, I believe. So nothing really going on there. That just about wraps up the West.
Laurent Brossoit driving back into Winnipeg, just like, shit, here we go again.
There was some, I think someone posted an article that interviewed him about like how he went to Vegas and then now he's coming back, and I didn't read it, but it would be funny if it said something like that.
I'd be interested to check that out.
Yeah. All right, moving out east. This team is full of drama at the moment, and I am here for it. The Boston Bruins. We got James Van Riemsdyk going to Boston. 1 year, $1 million. Morgan Geekie, 2-year, $2 million. Milan Lucic is coming home. 1 year, $1 million. Then Kevin Shattenkirk, 1 year, $1 million. What are your thoughts on the Bees right now?
Man, what the hell are they doing? Like, I don't mean that necessarily in like a negative way. I'm just like, do they know what the plan is? Like, this is the most random in a different way than Vancouver, but this is like
in a much better way than Vancouver.
It's better, but
I don't
know. It's just kind of a bunch of randos again. Like it's not. I don't know. I don't know what to say about it. I don't know how to feel about it.
They lose Bertuzzi. Yeah. They lose Taylor Hall. They might lose Bergeron. They might lose Krejci.
Dmitry Orlov.
They lose Dmitry Orlov. They lose Garnet Hathaway. And I'm even hearing rumors about Allmark and net. I'm like, how is...
Yeah. And Swayman.
Like, what is going on?
This just feels like they're bringing together like the 2015 or like 2014 dream team with JVR, Lucic, and Shattenkirk. This is like
right.
This is like everyone's like, oh, we got the star power now. We got the names. This is gonna do something for us. Like, this is just total,
Shattenkirk
like,
is another guy that I like a few years ago at least. I was like, oh, this is definitely this guy's last kick at the can, and somehow this man is still getting deals.
I
Like,
thought he was going to retire happy in Newport Beach with the Ducks and just like
yeah,
go into
same.
like
It
player
totally felt
development
like
role or something.
it totally felt like that was the end. But
He's like
there he is.
He's like Michael Delzato, a guy
Yeah.
who just
Yes.
never. He's
It
Yeah.
won't go away.
his
Calvin
name's just-
DeHaan.
Yeah.
yeah, their names are just always similar. But
I will say this, like thinking about James Van Riemsdyk in the playoffs with the Bruins, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think Morgan Geekie is going to surprise a lot of people with this
Yeah.
team.
Well,
I
again,
agree.
I'm not like I could easily see all four of these players making a difference. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that what they're doing. It's just and not really the like route that I kind of expected them to go.
I mean, the other two, like Shattenkirk and Lucic, you can sum that up by just saying, I'm the Boston Bruins and I just wasted $2 million.
yeah, that's probably
The
spot
Lucic thing
on.
is hilarious. That they're just like, I don't know, $1 million.
Sure.
Fuck it.
He's
Why
like,
not?
He's like, yeah,
That's
sure.
like a you were good for us 10 years ago, so here's your thank you.
Right. Yeah,
This has to be like the retirement deal, right? Like this is
Yeah.
you do one more year and you're done.
I
and then-
guess so. Yeah.
Retire a Bruin, coming home, blah
Yeah.
blah blah. Yeah.
Whatever.
Let's move on to Buffalo. They got Tyson Jost, Eric Johnson, and Connor Clifton. Not a whole lot I really want to say here. I know some people might say that the Jost signing has some upside. I don't disagree, but he hasn't really shown me yet that he's capable of having that much upside. And then Eric Johnson, good veteran guy back there. I don't know.
I love the Johnson and Clifton moves for this team. It's just more depth for them, which is something that they struggled with all of last year.
Yeah, and when you got a guy who's got, I don't know if he has 1,000 games. I'm just going to say he does. I think Eric Johnson probably has 1,000 games. That's always a good thing for the young guns back on the blue line. Owen Power, Rasmus Dahlin get to learn from a chiseled vet, so that's always cool. Any other comments on Buffalo? No?
Not really. Just 920 games for Eric Johnson.
So this season he'll hit it if he plays all 82.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Detroit. Alex Lyon, James Reimer, Justin Hall, Daniel Sprong, JT Comfer, and Shane Gostisbehere. I think out of all of those, the contract worth noting is JT Comfer got a 5x5 and Justin Hall got a 3x3.4. A lot of criticism for Mr. Steve Yzerman online here as of late. What are your guys' thoughts?
I'm just cracking up looking at Mac's face right now. It's just pure disgust.
I mean, I like some of it. I love, I'm a big Sprong guy, and I love that he just keeps getting like 1 year with a bunch of different teams, and he's like not doing bad for any of them, really. I mean, I think he'll be a good fit there. I like the Justin Hall one. I think he always got a little too much flack. I feel like he can be all right. Gostisbehere, another guy.
One.
I thought he would just fizzle out of the NHL. He kind of turned it around. He's been maybe changing my mind on that one. The Comfer thing is so weird. Why are we paying that guy that price?
5x5.
And Reimer and Lyon, it's like, I don't know, dude. That's where my biggest why I was making those faces.
Yeah.
Mostly.
I'm in agreement. I like the Gostisbehere one. Even for $4 million, I think that's fine based on how he played in the last season. But like you said, I thought when he went to Arizona, it was done.
Yeah.
This
Same.
is like they're literally paying him $1 million for every 10 points he had last year. The only reason I will not completely slander him is he's from the northwest suburbs of Chicago. He's from Northbrook, so I will give him a little slack.
Are we talking about Comfer right now?
Comfer, yeah.
Yeah.
That is the only reason. But to pay a guy who just had over 50 points for the first time in his career at 28 for 5 years
on the best team in the league.
I was going to say we have to talk about points inflation with that.
Was this one where did they need to get to the floor or something like that?
Maybe.
Not 5 million for JT Comfort.
So.
There's so many other guys.
I mean, I'd rather you see that. I'd rather see you spend it on Gostisbehere. I don't know.
Yeah. If you had flipped those deals, I would have been okay with it.
Yeah, I don't think you want to give 5 years to Ghost.
Right.
But
maybe
the
like
money, yeah.
maybe like a 3x5 for Gosh to
Yeah,
Spare.
sure. Maybe.
It's an interesting time in Detroit, and there's some news segments that we'll talk about later with some stuff going on with some of their prospects. But yeah, just I like the Sprong deal. I like the Goss to Spare deal. The rest of it, very mid, as
Yeah.
Jays would say.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Eastern Conference champions, the Florida Panthers. They get Oliver Ekman-Larsson on a 1-year deal. I'm not even going to try to say the next name. Someone help.
Oh, you got this.
You got it.
Grigory Denisenko.
Yeah. Easy.
Thank you, Jackson, for actually not making me go through that.
You're welcome.
Dmitry Kulikov on a 1-year deal, and then Evan Rodriguez, another salute to service, 4 years, $3 million per. Shout out to him; he's earned it.
That has to be.
That's a good fit.
That's the Duclair replacement right there.
Yeah.
Solid, and a lot less injury prone. And I hate to say that because I love Duke's game, but
yeah,
it is what it is.
Yeah, both of those guys are sort of players where it's like when you put them top 6 and PP one time, they're gonna light it up. Yep. But outside of that, probably not.
Yeah, decent moves for Florida, I guess. I mean, I don't have much more to say on that. Montreal got Raphael Harvey Pinard. Is that a real name?
Who you calling Pinhead?
Yeah, who you calling Pinhead, baby?
Who you calling Pinhead?
Yeah. This guy was a fantasy rocket for me last season.
That was crazy.
Like the last 30 games of the year, he was averaging like 2.5 points a game.
And you kept sending the Pinhead meme every time.
Is this guy real?
Yes, this guy's
dude,
real.
This is not another Schlempo, I swear to God.
Yeah, no, like look this guy up.
Who the hell did he play for?
The Habs.
Montreal, he re-upped.
I've never heard of this guy. I've never heard of this guy.
Last year was his first year, right?
Yeah.
All right, at least he's real.
I swear to God.
Yeah, this one was real.
I'm gonna sound like a real dumbass to some people. Like, you run a hockey podcast?
I have a weird feeling I had him for like a couple of weeks. This name looks very familiar.
You might have.
And for anyone giving
you
me
might
shit,
have traded him to me.
I think I did.
Yeah.
For anyone giving me shit, I'm sorry I couldn't watch the Montreal Canadiens in the last 30 games of the year last season. My sincerest apologies.
I definitely remember, like, I did the same thing just through the fantasy app. I was like, this is not real. And then I like had to click on it. I was like, oh, like he's got a picture. He has to be real.
My Schlempo fear is so high. We need a t-shirt that says that, by the way.
Yeah.
All right, Ottawa Senators, they get Jonas Korpisalo 5 years at $4 million per, and Travis Hamnick 2 years, $1.1 million per. I mean, I like the Korpisalo sign. I think that's solid for Ottawa. They're missing that key goaltender, and this might be it for them.
I don't know. The Korpisalo thing to me feels very similar to like the Reimer Lion thing. I don't see that as like a permanent situation. I know he looked really good at times for LA down the stretch there, but I'm not like, I don't really get why this guy's getting 5 years and $4 million. I feel like he's just as much of like a band-aid over a problem than like most of these other like former backups that we've talked about today. Like maybe I'll eat shit on this one because like I said, he did look pretty good with LA at times, but I don't know. I'm not totally sold that he's like a starting goalie for the next 5 years.
Yeah, the 5 years more so than the 4 million is what stands out to me. I think they're really hoping that he goes back to like CBJ Korpisalo and starts lighting it up like that, but I don't know.
I'm just surprised in the year of our Lord 2023 that Travis Hamnick is getting more than a 1-year deal at more than $1 million.
Yeah,
another
I
guy.
have to agree with you on that, and it's like that has to also be his like 5th or 6th team, right?
Something like that. Like he's just been all over the place, and I feel like he hasn't been good in like 2 or 3 years at this point. So it's just kind of like, here's an extra year just so you make sure you come to us because we're kind of a train wreck with the guy we traded for last year. So
I would love to post something on social media that's like list of defensemen or any NHL player that just never goes away. I think we've named 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're about to get to another one.
Yes.
Yeah, for real. All right, Tampa Bay. We got Connor Sheary and Calvin DeHaan. I know we're going to make fun of Calvin DeHaan just because of what we just said, but I do want to say Connor Sheary in Tampa just seems like a match made in heaven. He's probably going to be.
Yeah, I kind of really
so
hate that.
bad. It's so bad. He's gonna score like 30 goals or something.
He's going to have a good season, I think. Maybe not 30, but I could see him be a 20-goal guy.
Yeah, definitely.
And
Alvin Nahan, take a guess how many teams he's played for.
do you have it up?
8.
Yeah, I have it up.
Dahan,
Yeah,
Jay says 8
New York,
Islanders.
yeah, it's the
Chicago.
Islanders, yep. Blackhawks.
Did he play in Vancouver?
I was going to say
No.
Canucks.
No.
he didn't.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm going to guess.
I'm gonna guess 5.
There's
I'm
actually
gonna
only
guess
one
6.
more before the Lightning.
That's a 4.
Is it
4.
Philly?
No, it's Carolina. But what's interesting
Oh.
is I think it feels like a lot because he went from the Islanders to the Hurricanes to the Blackhawks back to the Hurricanes and now to Tampa. So
Okay.
there's been a lot of moving going on.
He's not as old as you might think he is.
I know
Miles.
he's only
Like,
32. I feel like this
What?
guy's been in the league forever.
He was drafted in 2011, if I'm not
I know, I
mistaken.
don't-
2009.
I
Nine.
don't know.
And he was a
how-
first-round pick, wasn't he?
Number
What?
12.
Yeah.
What the hell?
That's insane.
Like,
What a weird.
just
I feel like we just
incredibly
talk about
mid.
him and Hamonic at every free agency or
Yeah.
trade deadline.
Straight
Anyway.
up. Straight up. It's
The
probably because they
old-
only ever get like 1 year at a time, so or like 2,
Yeah,
and they're constantly re-signing or signing somewhere else. And
yeah,
Damn.
fair. All right. Well, I guess good job, Tampa, on the Sherry signing. Toronto, they get Ryan Reeves at 3 years, 1.3 mil per. They get John Klingberg on a 1-year deal at 4.25. Tyler Bertuzzi at a 1-year, 5.5. And Max Domi at 1 year, 3 mil. Very interesting signings. I'm very interested to hear Nick's thoughts on this first.
So the coolest one has to be Max.
That's awesome.
You know, my dad and his buddies used to take me to games and they would yell at Ty Domi with his giant ass head in the penalty box. But to see him go to, you know, that picture that got released of him and his dad together in their Leafs jerseys was really, really cool. What are you doing, Toronto? What are you doing? John Klingberg at this point is not worth $4.25 million. And Ryan Reeves for 3 years is probably the dumbest move I've seen in free agency so far.
Like,
could not agree more with everything you said. Bertuzzi and Domi, great deals. I also love that they're both just 1 year, so you can feel that out and see how it goes.
It
Klingberg,
also just
good
like
that it's 1, but too much.
those like Klingberg 1 year, Bertuzzi 1 year, Domi 1 year. No one wants to stay in Toronto for more than a year. Is what we're learning here.
Yeah, I mean
Well,
that's 12
yeah.
million bucks on 3 players that are only there for 1 year.
Well, and I bet you that them taking a look and seeing what's 34 doing next season, because that's coming up and that's going to be the storyline all season long. And we're never going to stop talking about it because it's all people are going to bring up.
Yep.
But yeah,
like getting Reeves for 3 years, just
That's
eating in a
dumb.
little bit of more cap space. Because look, you have Matthews, you have Nylander, who's getting a new contract. You got Lafferty, who's going to
big
need one.
storyline.
TJ Brody, Mark Giordano, if they want to bring him back. I know he's old. I mean, Timothy Lindgren is going to be a restricted free agent.
They've got some cash. The first 2 names are all you had to say. It's
Yeah, and like even Matt Murray's going to be a free agent next year. So
Oh,
to
well, that's
add
okay.
it, just like it's not a lot, but when you're trying to contend, you have to work on the margins. And paying
Yeah.
Ryan Reeves $1.3 million
for 3
just
years.
to be a skate and punch man,
He's
is
not going to play.
not the way to do it.
He's not
He
going to
will
play.
not.
That's it.
He won't finish those 3 years. I guarantee it. And I hate
No,
to say that, but
he'll play a season and a half, be bought out, and then sign with someone on a vet min and like win a Stanley Cup. That's random prediction. Is
it's
what I
probably
feel.
not. Honestly, you're probably not wrong.
I feel like with the Reeves signing for anything, like for all that it does to me, is it gives something Leafs fans to fight about in bars. It's like, oh, I have Ryan Reeves on my team now. We're tough. We're ready for the playoffs. We're not just about putting the puck in the net. Like, and that's all it does.
I will say, I mean, all 4 of these guys are tough guys. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
they're definitely trying to do something here and like add some grit. I don't know. It's interesting.
You could have just stopped there trying to do something.
Yeah.
That's
Or you
all I
could have
feel
just
they're
like kept
doing.
Michael Bunting.
Right.
Well, I think Bert is the fill-in for that, and we're about to talk about Bunting very shortly. But I think the difference is with Bert, they got him for 1 year. Props to them. They don't have to really like marry to it. Whereas Bunting gets 3 years in Carolina, which is our next team. They got Bunting at 3 years, 4.5 mil per. They get Dmitry Orlov at 2 years, 7.75 mil per. They extend Anderson and Antti Ranta. Anderson gets 2 years, Ranta gets 1 year. And then I don't know what the hell's going on with the whole Tarasenko thing. They allegedly signed him, but it hasn't been confirmed. And then Tarasenko like fired his agent, and now I don't even know what's going on. So that's definitely a big move. It's probably the biggest move of free agency, some would say. We'll see what happens.
He has to be the top player left out there. It's probably him or Dumba, right?
Yeah, I'd say one of the two. If you don't count Kane because he's got hip surgery and he's going to take 6 months. Mac, I immediately thought of you when I saw Dmitry Orlov went to the Canes.
Yeah, I think this is a great deal. I mean, 2 years, 7 mil. We all knew he was gonna cost a pretty penny, but I think it's smart that they're only able to get him at 2 years because they're not married to it. Sort of like what you were saying about the Bertuzzi signing with Toronto. But it's not like you're paying him 10 mil for 5 years or something stupid like that. I think this is an appropriate contract, honestly, which you don't see a lot in today's NHL, but I like it for both, for him and for them.
I think it's interesting what they're doing with the goalies here. They're clearly saying that they're not ready to go with Kochetkov as the backup, even though people have been calling for him for about 2 years now. So they bring back Ranta for a year at 1.5. They've got Freddie for 2 more years at 3.5, which I think is a good deal for Freddie.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Kochetkov's going to get moved here at some point.
I do think it's interesting too that they went and re-signed both goalies that they had last year, who both have had a lot of injury problems in their careers. So maybe it's just another thing where they know Kochetkov can step in, but they're going to try and have these guys run it back and hopefully be healthier this year. I don't know.
My guess is that it's going to be one of those guys is going to get injured and Kochetkov is going to come up and probably just become a brick wall. And then they'll probably look to trade one of those guys at the deadline. Probably Ranta, if I had to guess a guy to trade.
So.
But you never know. They could decide to trade Freddie, get some more value in there and have Ranta be the backup and maybe sign like another one as like a depth third goaltender.
I like the Bunting move. I like Bunting's game. I know that might be a hot take, but he's a more penalty taking version of Bertuzzi, which is why I think he's cheaper, because he is going to go to the box quite a bit. But I think you need
more
that
penalties and less goals.
Yeah, I think you need that in the playoffs. And also Carolina is just like a ultra tight checking defensive team. And I feel like that fits Bunting's game a lot more than being like Austin Matthews' winger, right? I don't know. Just my take. He might not score as many points, but I think he'll be a great player in Brind'Amour's system. Let's move on to the Isles. They extend their all-star Russian goaltender Ilya Sorokin 8 years at $8.25 mil per year. That is a $66 million contract for Mr. Sorokin?
The Islander special.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? Like, oh my God.
They also signed their backup, Semyon Varlamov, to 4 years at 2.7 mil per. They end up signing our good friend Dean's favorite player to a 7-year deal, Mr. Scott Mayfield, 3.5 mil per. And Pierre Engvall gets a 7-year deal at 3 mil per. A lot of term here from the New York Islanders. What are your guys' thoughts?
Well, for starters, they just gave 26 years worth of deals out. So just process that for a second.
I seriously think every one of these deals is absolutely crazy in their own special way.
Like, this is why Islanders fans can't have nice things. Like, I like Pierre Engvall. Like, as a guy who plays NHL pretty regularly, he's always a good like middle six guy to put in there, and I'm sure that translates to real life as well. But 7 years paying this guy $21 million, and then the thing that stuck out to me when I was looking at it, Semyon Varlamov for 4 years.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't get that one.
It's like-
that doesn't.
It amazes
Is it
me
that
how they
bad?
haven't learned. It's like you're still paying the last goalie you locked up long term, and he's been out of the league for 10 years.
Are they still paying Rick?
Yeah.
No, what?
In
Oh my
two
God.
contracts, actually, because he's a broadcaster for them. So he gets 2 separate levels of income from the same team.
Leave it to the 2 teams in New York that are blue and yellow to still be paying players who don't even play for them anymore. Like,
But what do you not pay Sorokin? Like he's
that one. I
the
kind
best goalie in the league.
Pretty much we're handcuffed on.
This
that
is the one that
like,
makes the most sense.
That one like is a typical like that's just what happens when you have a superstar goalie and you can't let him walk. Like you like.
Well, yeah, and
that's just today's NHL. Whether it's a good deal or not, they would have had to pay that, or somebody else would have probably.
Because Columbus or someone else in division would have come in and said, "Here's 10 for 2."
Yeah. Well, and also it's not like they already got Barzal signed. They don't really have another like all-star player. Like it's a weird way that they structure their team. I mean, Sorokin's their best player. Like he is.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, they have Horvat, but
I like all
them,
4 of these players. I think it was smart to re-sign all 4 of them, but the term makes no fucking sense.
I mean,
the Engvall and Mayfield one. I'm like,
who had Pierre
insane.
Engvall for 7 years in 2023 bingo? Because I definitely
that's such a strange contract.
How old is he going to be when this deal is over?
I'm not a math guy. I don't know, but yeah, I think we're on agreement. The Sorokin deal, he's the best goalie, top 3 goalie in the league, I would say, honestly. So you have to give him his money. The other ones, I don't know. I would love to hear Mr. Dean Peluso's take on the Scott Mayfield deal.
Yeah. I talked to him for a little bit after this. He was, sort of had the same rationale with Sorokin. He was like, it was something we needed to do, but I know he loves Scott Mayfield, so he was very excited about that one.
I'm sure. The New York Rangers, they get Blake Wheeler to a 1-year deal at $800K. What a steal, honestly.
That's crazy.
I don't even know what to say.
Washington Capitals, what are you doing?
Yeah, what were we thinking here?
Jonathan Quick, 1 year, $825K. Again, sure. I mean, say what you will about the guy. There's no risk there. Nick Bonino, 1 year, $800K. Again, no risk. And Eric Gustafson, 1 year, $825K. Again, no risk. I mean, they basically got 4 guys who can do nothing but help your team at these prices.
Yeah. I mean,
that's great.
Blake Wheeler, Jonathan Quick, Nick Bonino. If it was 2012, I would be freaking out right now.
Oh, yeah.
But
like they can't keep getting away with this.
Yeah, no, seriously. This is just 4 good deals.
It's 4 good deals. They have no commitment. There's basically no money tied up into it. It's crazy. I mean, I think Pierre Engvall is making more per year than all 4 of these guys combined.
That is correct.
Holy shit. That's sad. Good job, Chris Drury. You did it again. Philadelphia, they get Ryan Poehling. He's going back to Philly. 1 year, $1.5 million. They get Garnet Hathaway, 2 years, 2.375 per. They get Mark Stahl and Victor Mete, both on 1-year deals. I mean, it's Philly. They're still going to suck, but I like the Hathaway deal. I mean, it's Hathaway.
Yeah. Dude, this one is so upsetting because it makes so much fucking sense. Like, he is a born Philadelphia Flyer.
Least favorite move.
I have to hate. I'm gonna hate him so much. I'm gonna hate him so much. I just know it. I know the kind of player he is. I loved watching him frustrate other teams in DC, but man, is this guy gonna get under my skin? I already know it.
Just hurts. It's painful. You never want to see that, especially, as Caps fans. Obviously, we hate the Penguins, but I feel like what a lot of Caps fans don't understand is, especially for, guys that are around Mac and I's age, and then like guys like our dads, like the Flyers are like a very close second behind the Penguins for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's normal, and it sucks to see, 4th-line grit guy who played for your team for so long go there, but
why do I feel like I can already picture like a fight with like him and like somebody on our team? Like, I feel like this is not going to be one of those like friendly reunions.
No, not at all.
Doesn't strike me as that type. Moving on to Pittsburgh. Dare I say the one with the most news, which is weird. Nola Chari, 3 years at $2 million per. Tristan Jarry, 5 years at 5.375 per. Alex Nedeljkovic, 1 year, 1.5 per. Ryan Graves, 6 years, 4.5 per. Lars Eller, 2 years, 2.5 per. And Will Butcher on a 1-year deal. I want to hear what you guys think before I even say anything. I want to know what you fellas think.
I'll run down the list real fast here. Achari, sure, that's a solid
mid. I
solid
agree.
deal for him. That's fine. I don't see it really being
Mid.
too good or bad. Jari, too much term, too much money for a guy who's always hurt, and to me has not proved himself to be a super talented goaltender. I don't think that's a good deal. Okay. Nedeljkovic, this feels like a classic Pittsburgh Penguins backup. I feel like that's just exactly the kind of guy they always just find somebody who's like played for another team for a few years and sign him for a 1-for-1 deal like that. Is classic signing. Ryan Graves, that is a lot of term, my friend. 6 years. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's not a ton of money, I guess, especially by the end of the 6 years. It'll be one of the cheaper ones probably, but like, yeah, I'm not thrilled about that. Okay. Eller, honestly, if I'm a Penguins fan, I like this deal. 2 years, 2.5. Say what you will about the guy. He had some brutal moments in DC last year. We all know that, but yeah, I think he's still talented enough to probably play 2 years and be worth $2 million. And Will Butcher, sure, one year, very low risk, whatever.
Nick. Will Butcher is essentially your attempt at replacing John Marino, and I think that's fine. I think that is probably the upside that we're like hoping to see from Will Butcher now. The Eller one stings, but I'm still more upset about the Hathaway one, if that makes sense. Yeah, I totally agree with Mac. Ryan Graves, way too much in term. That's definitely going to be a hold your breath, wait and see kind of thing. I mean, I think that guy has a ton of upside, but 6 years, I think I was expecting a little bit more of a bridge deal, a 2 to 3 at, 3.5 or something like that. Nedeljkovic, it just screams, like Max said, another Penguins backup that's going to come in and frustrate everyone. He's probably going to play like 30% of the games, like a 70-30 split
or more when Jari gets hurt.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing, man? Tristan Jari for 5 more years. Okay, before you start, you have dogged this guy. So
but I have. And
now sell me on it.
Here's the cope. Here's the cope coming.
No, it's not cope.
Delusion.
I don't like this deal if we don't get EK65, which is the big rumor, right? If they wanted to go get Hellebuck, they could have thrown the mortgage at him and said, okay, here's like half our roster, whatever. It sounds like they didn't want to do that, maybe because they have a chance at Carlson. I don't know. I mean, I also look at the goaltender market. It's Gibson or Hellebuck, and that's it, right?
Yep.
And it's like, are they better than Jory? I know Hellebuck is for sure. Gibson probably is, but the Ducks, like, it's hard to, I don't know.
Yeah.
So, like, what else are you going to do? Like, and plus, I hate to say it, but 5 years from now, we're going to suck anyway. So it's really like year 1 and 2. Same thing with Graves, I feel like. It's like, 6 years, we're going to suck in 6 years. So who cares?
I will say, though, that Achari deal, as a Caps fan, that makes me sick to my stomach because I think that is just
You like it?
I love it for if you're a Penguins fan.
I mean, am I thrilled about Jory? No, I'm not thrilled. Melissa Cunningham, friend of the show, first thing she said was, how did we let this happen? I was like, listen, it's okay. It's okay if we get Erik Karlsson. If we don't, it sucks. That's my
I think that's
line.
Really solid rationale, actually. I will tell you, I fully expect, like, every time the Penguins are losing and every time he lets in a bad goal, for you to be blowing up the group chat like, I can't believe we fucking signed this guy for 5 more years. How am I going to deal with this for 5 more years? This is unbelievable.
The two that are the most interesting to me, and I think Graves will be solid. Is it too much term? Yeah, probably. But like I said, whatever. Eller, I don't like, is he a good third line center? Because that's essentially what he's going to be. He's going to have to be that third line test Stanley Cup guy. Is Lars Eller that dude still? I know he was, but is he still?
I got a bad feeling this is going to work out really well for you guys. I really do. That's
Thank
how
God.
I feel about it.
I needed to hear that from Mac first. And then
Because here's why too. The Caps fans were so fucking rude to this man all year last year. Whether he knows that or not, it doesn't even matter. The karma is going to swing back, and Caps fans are going to feel his wrath. That's just what's going to
He's
happen.
also like, especially if the Penguins crack the playoffs, he is such a playoff gamer.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
one of those guys that's just like he elevates his game so
Yeah.
much more in the postseason.
Yeah, he elevates his game.
Nice.
the Nedeljkovic one too is interesting to me because, like Max said, Jari inevitably will get hurt. DeSmith is still on the roster. I don't know if they have Ned as like the third string or if he'll take DeSmith's spot, but a guy who was pretty good his rookie season and then went to Detroit and shit at the fan.
And he's been on some bad teams in Detroit too.
Yeah, that's true. All in all, not bad. I want Carlson though. So let's move on to the Caps.
Oh,
fuck. The Capitals get elite NHL defenseman Joel Edmondson from the Montreal Canadiens for a third and a seventh. Max Pacioretty, cool. 1 year, $2 million. Martin Ferravari, 3 years, 2.675 per, cool. Dylan McIlrath. How do you say that? McIlrath, yeah. Sure. And Hunter Shepard, sure.
Shep Daddy.
Like, I know I'm a casual, but after the first two guys, who?
Yeah.
Who?
Not Ferravari.
McIlrath and Shepard are Bears guys.
Yeah. McIlrath was the Bears captain last year, so that's just, they were like, we liked what you did. You can do that again.
And
Hunter Shepard played out of his mind for the Bears last year, and Zach Fucale's gone. So, I mean, that makes sense.
Damn,
the Ferravari deal, I love. I think that's a great deal for him. We didn't overpay. He's young. I think that's like what we should be giving.
It's a good bridge.
Yeah.
What's this patch? Like what's going on?
So I had friends that were reaching out to me that were saying that are Caps fans, and they were saying, well, it's so low risk, high reward. I'm like, no, it's insanely high risk, high reward.
Patch?
Because it's not if he gets hurt, it is when and for how long.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel too.
I mean, the offensive
have a bunch
upside.
of like band-aids, like with Oshie there too. It's like we know he's getting hurt at some point. The problem here is, I mean, I do love that it's 1 year at 50. Wait, wasn't he the 50 retained, or was Edmondson?
No, Edmondson was 50% retained.
Really? I thought it was the other way around. Okay, either way, 1 year at that price is not bad. And if he can somehow stay healthy for even like half the season, I mean, the dude can fucking play. Obviously, like he can score goals. Like
I just need 20.
Madman.
That's all I need. 20 goals.
That's kind of what I'm hoping for too. I actually do really like the Edmondson deal though.
I don't know for a third though.
But it's the 50% retain. That's what does it.
Yeah.
Well, like, what is a third round pick?
Yeah, it's fine.
What is a third round pick? Here's my take. I feel like the Caps have to have some plan for this season, or they're going to have to use some of the guys from the Bears squad that had a really good postseason. They're banking on them maybe like coming up and doing something, or they're going to have some of their young like draft picks or prospects from last year, like we talked about a couple times, come up and make a difference. Because I feel like none of these moves indicate that they're like going for it. So it's like they must be banking on somebody.
So I heard
some people.
They had a lot of stuff like in the works at the draft, but because of the price to trade at the draft was so high, stuff kind of just fell apart. So I'll be interested to see what GMBM does down the stretch here, because I don't think you can say at this point that they're done.
So what's the scoop with the Russian kid from last year's draft? What's his name?
Are you talking about Suzdalev or
Miroshnichenko?
Miroshnichenko. Yeah, didn't he got out of his KHL contract, right? And so
I believe so.
He'll be over with the Bears at least, or something.
He was
I
over
think
this week in DC for development camp. I know that.
Yeah.
So I feel like between him, McMichael, Protus, you got this kid Leonard now, the second round pick.
LaPierre.
I mean, you guys got some guys who I feel like if they could just take that step, you could be pretty good.
I heard some good things from some of my people that were at camp saying like the talent looked really awesome. So that's encouraging. I do I do fully expect like McMichael, Protus, maybe Malenstein. I feel like all those guys might end up being like regular guys on the Capitals this year.
I'd like to see Ethan Frank in there too.
Yeah, I would definitely like to see that. And it's definitely possible. The other thing is like everyone was expecting like a big like Mantha deal or like a Kuznetsov or packaging the two of them somehow. But I think since we haven't seen that, it must just mean that they like didn't like what they were getting offered. And honestly, I feel like as much as I'm down to get rid of either of them and very down to get rid of Mantha, everybody who listens to the show knows that. I'm also kind of fine with like if we didn't get a good enough option for either of them, I'd rather not give them away for like a bag of pucks when it's like, all right, we have a new coach. I guess we might as well just see if that changes anything. Like,
right.
And then if it still doesn't, I guess at the deadline, you could try again or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, if the deal's not there and if it's not good enough, I totally agree. Don't go for it. I think you kind of have to wonder what else they have in mind here, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Well, let's move on to the discussion portion of this episode. That'll wrap up all the free agency news. Before we get to the discussion segment, I think Nick has a word from our sponsor, Kane Footwear.
I do. By the way, did you guys see the red, white, and blue Kane Revives that came out over the weekend? They were awesome. Cool. Definitely gonna have to look into getting myself a pair of those. Had a ton of people over at the house to grill for like a pool day cookout thing on the 4th. And so, while I was running around, running food, running beers, I had my Kane Footwear on the whole time. People were asking me left and right, where did you get that? What are they? So, kept me cool, kept me comfortable the whole time. I didn't totally jack up my back like I did from moving the prior 2 days, but it was fantastic. So head to the link in our bio to get a pair of the most comfortable shoes you will ever own.
Key emphasis on link in our bio. I know I've had people say like, is there a code? There is not a code.
No.
You have to use the link in our bio.
It is so simple. You don't even have to type anything in. You just hit it.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on to the discussion portion. This is kind of like a 2-for-1 question. You could parlay it into one, but out of all the deals we just spoke about, which individual signing shocked you the most and you think will also have the most impact? Who wants to go first?
I will. I think shock me the most. I'm gonna have to say Tristan Jarry. And who do I think will have the most impact? I'm gonna stay in the Metro, and I'm actually gonna say Blake Wheeler with the New York Rangers. That one terrifies me.
Ooh, okay. I'm on that one. I think in terms of surprise, I was pretty surprised Ryan O'Reilly went to Nashville. I was surprised in and of itself that he left Toronto, and then I was very surprised that he went to Nashville. Not because I don't think Nashville's a good market, and not because I don't think Barry Trotz knows what he's doing, but they're not contenders this season, and I thought he was really going to be on like a cup-winning team or close to it. Which one do I think will have the biggest impact? That's a tough one. I'm going to be honest. I think bang for buck, like for what you're paying and what you're probably going to get, I got a really good feeling about Connor Sherry in Tampa. I think he's going to be really good.
That's a good one.
Yeah, I was going to say that one for impact, but I have a backup option. I'll go Orlov for 2 years in Carolina. I think that'll have a ton of impact, and I think that'll be a great deal for him. He might even end up getting a better deal after that if it goes well for him. And the one that shocked me the most, honestly, the weird bullshit on the island, like with Engvall and Mayfield. I really don't know how to explain it. It's still shocking to me, even as we're talking about it. So that's my answer there.
Yeah, I've got to agree with the one that was the most shocking was the Engvall one. I'll also throw in the JT Comfort one. I mean, like again, seeing 5x5x1 across my phone on Twitter when it wasn't rate limited was a bit of a shock for me. Although I will say the guy who I think is going to have the most impact, though, I think it's going to actually be Ryan O'Reilly, and I think the Predators are going to make the they're going to make the playoffs this year.
Ooh,
I think they'll sneak in as an 8 or 7 this year, just with how much shakeup is going on around the league, and I think I think they might be able to sneak in. They weren't that bad last year.
I was gonna say the same exact thing. I think that like what they did could actually be enough to like make them competitive. And if Ryan O'Reilly plays the way we know he can, it could help a lot.
They have some youth coming up too. I mean, Luke Evangelista, that dude is so
There's a
freaking nasty.
bunch of dudes on the Admirals that I thought looked good enough to at least be considered for full-time roles, no doubt.
All I got to say is if I'm the Central Division, right, Colorado probably makes the playoffs. But two teams who did make the playoffs last year, Winnipeg and Minnesota, all of a sudden, you've got Nashville, Connor Bedard, Chicago coming right at you. And it's like those two teams better
St.
be on the
Louis, you
watch.
never know what you're going to get there.
St. Louis, same thing. I feel like they're going to have a much
Duchene's
better
in
season.
Dallas now.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're shoo-ins, but yes, it's going to be a tough season for Winnipeg and Minnesota, I think.
Maybe third spot in the division is going to be the most interesting one to watch, at least maybe in the Western Conference at this point.
Agreed. Is there a team, not so much a signing, but a team that stands out to you the most, whether it's good or bad?
Is it crazy for me to say, like, just gut reaction, the winner of the trade deadline, Rangers, the loser, Islanders, of free agency. Like just based on like what they paid and how much like change they got, like potential positive impact.
Yeah.
I seriously think like Rangers has the highest potential to like walk away like bandits from this, and the Islanders have the least potential for this to work out positively. That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
I kind of agree with you. I would say the Rangers or the Preds for me for like most impressed with what they did. Least impressed, you kind of have to like look at Detroit and say, like, what the hell were you thinking? And I think the Islanders are right up there with them.
I'm going to say for like a sneaky team who had a pretty decent offseason replacing some guys who left, I'm going to say Florida. I think getting OEL to replace Gudas in some manner, I think it was really good. And then obviously getting Evan Rodriguez is another good middle six forward for them was really good. And then there's so many teams to dunk on, but I think even with like, what the hell did you do, Detroit? It's not as bad as signing 4 guys to 26 years worth of contracts. So New York Islanders, do something better, please.
Yeah.
As a neutral fan, it's sad to see Barzal being put through this manifestation of hell.
I saw Isles fans screaming for DeBrincat. He's still on the market. They're like, give him someone. And it's like, you know what? We're going to give 26 years worth of contracts to 2 goalies, a depth forward, and a depth defenseman.
Yep.
That's what we're going to do.
You're going to have your Pierre Engvall vegetables and like it.
Exactly. Like the Islanders, they're like star players. No. That would be stupid. We don't want that. We don't want a scoring winger.
I don't know if anyone really wowed me this year in free agency. Like, I'm not like, holy crap, they really want it. I mean, some teams, New York, I think bang for buck. Yeah, they made some good moves to be different. I don't mind what Buffalo did. Clifton, Johnson, Jost, it's not bad. I think in terms of worst, I really don't know what the fuck Vancouver's doing. I don't get it.
Yeah, we did say that. That's fucked.
I just don't get it. It's like a team that's incredibly mid, whose star player doesn't even really want to be there, who just signed an 8-year deal last season and has 7 left on it, to sign Matt Irwin, Carson Soucy, Teddy Bluger, and Ian Cole. The fan base is going to burn that play. I don't know what that
again.
So yeah, that's my take. All righty. We are going to move on to the news segment here real quick. Tip of the cap to Darren Helm and Patrick Hornquist, 2 guys who had extremely good careers, both retired yesterday, especially to Patrick Hornquist. He probably gave me the greatest moment of my life, so I owe him forever.
Get out and stay the fuck out of my league, Patrick.
Legend. I love Patrick Hornquist. Ultimate Warrior. We'll never forget him. Salute triple fold. I mean, that guy earned
prima donna. No, I'm kidding.
And Darren Helm, too, a guy who hung in there for a very long time. I feel like he played for Detroit forever.
I saw a tweet today that said the Wayne Gretzky of 4th line wingers. And I was like, yes, you are 100% right.
It's a very good analogy. He had 2 Stanley Cup championships, did Darren Helm, as well as Patrick Hornquist. I also think it's funny. Patrick Hornquist was literally the last player picked in the 2005 draft. First was Crosby, last was Hornquist. That's crazy. Like when you think about that. And then they win a cup, 2. So pretty cool. All right, this is gonna be a fun one. Willie Styles Nylander and the Maple Leafs are not even close on a contract, and negotiations have not gone well per Chris Johnston. Nylander wants over 10. The Leafs are offering 8. What are we thinking here?
So in like 4 more weeks of hell and tweeting and articles, he's going to sign a 9.5-year deal for like 5 years in
Literally,
Toronto.
that's what's gonna happen. 100%.
I am so sick of this shit, man. Like I love Nick Bowens to death, and he is a great Leafs fan with like calling them out on this stuff. But like, do we have to go through this with every one of your fucking players?
Clip that. That's
I could not
perfect.
agree more. I could not agree
Just
more.
end the
Well said.
segment on that. I don't think any of us should say a word after that.
It's it's gonna get to the point where it's like William Nylander didn't put his Christmas lights up in time. Like, what does this say about where the Leafs are headed? Like, that's just where we're going now.
And how does this affect LeBron's legacy?
Exactly. And then that's how ESPN would relate it to hockey.
Yeah.
Man, just
Nick,
like I feel bad for the guy. Like,
didn't
you know
he
what
just
you
go
should
through
do?
this?
He should come home.
Oh, little caps.
Where's-
Yeah.
People forget. You would want that, huh?
I would. They could never afford it, but that would be sick.
I gotta see. There's a team with $57 million next season to spend.
I was gonna say
A team that his brother played for too.
Yeah,
a team that his brother currently plays for might also. I don't know.
Yeah.
How can we make that work?
booking it now. Make it a clip. William Nylander, Chicago Blackhawks, 2025
Wow.
Stanley Cup champion.
Wow.
I'm just gonna say that the guy who gave him his previous contract is now in charge of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and his brother just so happens to be on the roster as well. I don't know. I would be okay with maybe throwing the future out for that.
You guys don't have
You
10
can't
million
afford
to
it.
get him to leave
You
Toronto,
gave it to
though,
Tristan
right?
Jarry.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I said we can throw out all of our assets. We don't care.
Oh,
There's
okay.
Well, I don't know what's going to happen with Jake Gensel. That's all I'm going to say. That's coming up next season too, and apparently they're worlds apart. So we'll see. All right, the Detroit Red Wings have placed former 6th overall pick Philip Zadina on waivers. He cleared waivers on Tuesday, 4th of July, signed a 3-year deal, 5.47 per extension with Detroit last August. Still has 2 years left on his deal. Yzerman stated that he tried to find a trade for the 23-year-old, but was unable to put together a deal. What are your guys' thoughts on this?
This is a big dud for the Wings. This was a superstar when he came out of Halifax. Big, heavy shot, total sniper, and for whatever reason, it just has not worked.
He's a big guy too. He can lay the body. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the deal is here. You would think somebody else would take a chance, but I guess the contract's not that appealing.
No, I think the 2 years left at 5.5 essentially is what's scaring everyone away.
I would agree with that. I'm just trying to look at his draft. He was the 2018 draft. Oh wow. This did not age well. The Detroit Free Press has an article from the night after the draft where it says the Red Wings steal Philip Zadina 6th overall. I scroll down and the first thing I see is the Wings passed on Michigan defenseman Quinn Hughes. He was taken 1 pick later by the Vancouver Canucks.
Damn.
You could have kept. He was a Michigan boy, right?
Right. He
Yeah,
had
they moved
moved
to
Michigan
15
boy,
minutes
Michigan.
down the damn
What
road
the
to go
hell
play
were
for the
they
Wings.
doing?
That's a rough one.
That's
Yikes.
crazy.
Yeah, that doesn't age well. That's why we love the draft, right? Stuff like that.
I just I can't even imagine who else it was drafted like 10th or 11th too that are going to be more valuable than this guy.
Then the Montreal Canadiens got Jesperi Kotkaniemi. The Ottawa Senators got Brady Tkachuk 4th, which was the 2 picks right before him. Arizona Coyotes got Barrett Hayton 5th, which he's turned out to be pretty good. He had a solid year last year.
Sure.
A couple guys up there.
Adam Boquist, if you're really
Yeah.
into him, is another option. Not really much
Anything.
else.
Yeah.
I mean, any of those guys
So-
would have been better.
Ty Smith.
Nah, try. You don't want that. It's the same thing. Speaking from experience. All right, that basically wraps up our free agency episode. We will end this with trivia, which, just a reminder, is presented by Elwood's. I will let Mac read a word from them.
Yeah, support your local dive bar and have a beer at Elwood's Liquor and Tap, home of the Pizza Luge, located in the heart of downtown Milwaukee on Water Street. This 70s-inspired bar has a little something for everyone, from daily happy hour rotating taps, free birthday perks, and a 4-season patio. Good time is always around the corner at Elwood's. Make sure you go there for NHL season next year, too. They've got the full package. They always have hockey on. And you can bring your dogs too. So definitely head on down. I was there this weekend, had a good time, played some bags. Go check it out. All right.
They have some cool shit in the bathroom too, I heard.
They do. I went there with my friends and they were like geeking out about the posters on the wall, which is fun. There's one right above the urinal, which is awesome.
Good.
And then there's one like just right outside behind the bar too. So yeah.
You will find a poster of us in those 2 locations. Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
So
all right, quick one here today. Just a quick kind of one-liner. None of this like A, B, and C answer thing. I don't think I'm going to give you much info on this one though. I think you guys should be able to get it with minimal cluage. So let's jump right in. On this day, July 5th, let's see, 11 years ago. Yeah, 11 years ago. Sorry, 10 years ago. Math. 10 years ago.
2013.
Yes.
Okay.
What player signed a 1-year contract with a new team, ending his 17-season career with another team?
Ooh.
Okay.
Nick knows it, clearly.
I have like one that came to mind right away.
2013, a guy
Did
who
he
played
play?
for a team for 17 seasons.
So that means he started playing with the team in 1996.
Sure. Yes.
Or was he just
Yes.
drafted by them in 1996?
Wouldn't it be the same? Nah, actually, I don't know.
17-year.
2013.
He was drafted in 94.
Okay.
Are you allowed to say how high he went?
It was just kind of a steal. He went
Okay.
he went in the 6th round, 133rd overall.
Can I take a crack at it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
Who is Pavel Datsuk?
No.
Shit.
No. He never signed away from Detroit. He was just traded in
That's
LTIR.
right. He was traded and then shelved. You're right.
But it's not. I don't think it's anyone from the Red Wings. I don't think anyone like that in 2013.
Do you want another small hint?
Sure.
What if I told you that he only ended up playing 68 games with the team that he signed with? And
I got
then you got it already?
I think I know it. Who is Daniel Alfredson?
Yes, sir.
Nice.
Oh,
That was a good one.
Yep, played
Thank you, sir.
68. So where did he go?
He went to the Red Wings.
Yeah, he did.
That's right.
So
That's why I
signed
thought
with-
of it.
Signed with the Wings after 17 seasons in Ottawa, played 68 games with them. He had a lot of back problems by then. Still managed to score 18 goals, 49 points,
Damn, 6th round.
Um,
That's crazy.
That's
and then
nuts.
officially retired back in Ottawa the next year. So
Well, the only reason I got it is Jay said Detroit, and my mind just was like, "Who did someone play for them?"
Yeah,
that
you
went-
guys
totally
were
forgot he was
right around it the whole time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that was a good one. I enjoyed that.
I was thinking for a little while, I was like, I was thinking Hossa, because then like I remember he ended up but I know he had bounced around between Ottawa and Chicago before
Yeah, he
that.
slept with both teams and lost both.
He
times.
ended up
He did,
as
yeah.
late as a pick he was in 94. It's let's see, during the 95-96 season, that was his rookie year. He won the Calder Trophy and he
Wow.
scored 26
Damn.
goals, 61
Wow.
points.
Wow, that's impressive. No,
He's
no
still-
steering.
He's still the Senators' all-time leader in goals, assists, and points.
Not surprising. No steering wheel punching for the fans today.
No.
Yeah, right.
No.
That was a quickie. Get in, get out. We've held
Absolutely.
y'all long enough. Thanks for listening.
Appreciate the love and support, as always. Without further ado.
Class dismissed.